Today on Money and Markets Extra, oil prices have plunged over 50% just from the highs last summer. When will it end? And is it finally time to buy energy sector stocks? With me today, Mike Larson, editor of the Safe Money Report and our premium trading service, Energy Stock Alert. Hi, Mike. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, glad to be here.
Well, on the surface, there was not much to like about this week's oil inventory data. In fact, the numbers look pretty bearish, with crude oil plunging about $3 a barrel on Wednesday as a result.
Yeah, that's right, Mike. You had crude oil supplies that rose by a greater than expected 10.9 million barrels in that most recent week. And that leaves overall inventories at a level that's far above the seasonal average for this time of year.
Right.
But frankly, there's some important crude realities that the bears are just missing right now.
Oh, that's a bad one, Mike. Bad pun, but let's move on. What are the bears missing right now?
Well, first, we've seen repeatedly in recent weeks that when you get bad news, investors have actually been buying into it.
Buy the dips, right?
Exactly, and I think there's a simple reason for it. Many of these guys just think this is just about as bad as the inventory news is going to get for this cycle. And frankly, I agree. When you look at the large decline in rig activity, drilling rigs, and the still decent global demand picture, you've got the ingredients for a nice rebound over time.
And the economic data, at least out of Europe and elsewhere, is improving a bit, somewhat anyway. Will that help lift demand even more in your view?
Yeah, absolutely right. And you know, again, the smart money is already buying despite this negative inventory data. I mean, Shell Oil just gave you 70 billion reasons to buy energy stocks.
That's right. You're talking, of course, about the Royal Dutch Shell bid this week to buy BG Group, the British oil and gas giant. Is that a sign of things to come?
Well, sure. This is not some small deal. This is a whopping $70 billion cash and stock transaction. It's the second biggest energy deal in history. And it harkens back to the last mega merger era we had in the sector in the late 1990s. That gave us the combination of Exxon and Mobil, Chevron and Texaco, and many others.
Ah, the good old days. So what does this mean for investors right now?
Well, look, you now have one of the biggest energy players on the planet shelling out the most money in several years to buy up huge gas and oil reserves, and they're doing it despite still low energy prices. So you got to ask yourself, why would Shell do that?
Why would they?
Well, to me, it's simple. We're at or close to a bottom in the energy market, and they know it. So they know now is the time to add those reserves, add that production capacity, and do it on the cheap.
Shrewd buy. So you're saying there are bound to be even more deals like this in the energy patch?
Oh, absolutely. And you know, here's the key tell to me. Oil stocks aren't waiting for oil, the commodity, to play catch-up. Just take a look at this chart, for example. It shows the performance of crude oil in red and shares of one of my favorite oil and gas companies, Pioneer Natural Resources, in blue.
Yeah, you can see where oil is kind of just bounced along the bottom here.
Yeah, exactly. You can see oil itself made a low in January, and then it retested that low in March.
Right.
But PXD shares actually bottomed out in December, and they've been making a series of higher highs ever since. And again, it's not just cherry picking here with PXD. There's many other energy stocks that have very similar charts.
So what's the bottom line for investors right now?
Sure. I mean, bottom line, you've got to watch this market closely. After getting the most oversold in decades, it looks to me like crude oil is finally making a big turn. And if I'm right, energy stocks are going to make a killing from here.
Absolutely. And there you have it, folks, the latest energy sector intel straight from Mike Larson, the editor of our Energy Stock Alert. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks.